Welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to go through the first step of beginning your scheduling process within PowerScheduler. We're going to run the auto scheduler setup and set the schedule year. And that will be our first step, whether you are doing the build process or the load process. Now, before you can do either of these, you need to make sure that you have already set the new year up at the school and district level, and you need to also make sure that any courses that need to be made available have been made available for the school. And we do have a separate video on both of those tasks. But once those are complete and you're ready to get into PowerScheduler, we're going to do those first two steps of doing auto scheduler setup and then setting our schedule year. So when we log into PowerSchool at the school level, we're going to scroll down and under Applications, click on PowerScheduler. Now, the first time that you launch this, you may see a notice that you need to update your scheduling engine. And if that is the case, you just acknowledge and submit that acknowledgement, and then it should take you to PowerScheduler landing page. On our left-hand side, we have our auto scheduler setup menu, and that is where we're going to go first because we need to create our scenario for the 23-24 school year so that we can start working on either building our master schedule or copying it over, making manual changes and loading our students in the load process. So on your landing page, you would not see a 23-24 scenario yet unless you've already run this process. Auto scheduler setup really only needs to be completed once by one person at the school. So we're going to go through that process now so everything can be updated to 23-24 and we can begin working. So on our left hand side, we're going to click on that auto scheduler setup link, and we'll see our initial options screen. The first option is your lowest term level division. This is not your grading terms, when you send grades home on report cards. This is how long is a course from start to finish. So what is the shortest course length that you offer in your master schedule? So if you have only semester and full year courses, then you would choose semesters. If you only have full year courses that start and end in August and May, you would choose full year. If you are a school that has quarter long courses that start and end within a 9 weeks, you would choose quarters. And then, of course, if you have trimesters, if you have a fall, a winter, and a spring, you would want to choose trimesters. So basically, you're going to choose your shortest term length, the shortest length of your class. So in my example, I'm going to choose quarters. And then the next option is the number of periods. How many periods do you need to work with in your schedule? So you can make your selection. And then how many days? This is not how many days of the week will classes meet. This is how many cycle days does your schedule have. So if you use a rotating schedule, how many different days are you rotating where classes are different? So for example, odds and evens on different days, that would be 2 days. So in my example, I'm going to have 2 cycle days. If all of your classes meet the same every day and there's no rotation, then you would just have 1. Then you're going to click Continue. This is where you are going to schedule term selection. You're going to use these check boxes to check which terms you need, because PowerScheduler realizes that if I need quarters and semesters and full years, I may not need trimesters, which were encompassed when I select quarters. So you could leave trimesters unselected if you do not need them. You could leave any of the terms that you do not need unselected here. So make your selections of what you need and click continue. The next thing you're going to do is define your term dates. This is where you're going to have to go in and put a first and last day for every term that you've identified you would have. So again, that's a course length. So you'll go through all of the terms that you selected and enter in that first and last day. Now, if you do not have your board approved calendar yet, it is okay to use estimated dates here on this screen. But as soon as you have your board approved dates, you would want to come over to your years and terms and update those dates. Same thing if you did that in the district and school years and terms on the live site so that you could use PowerScheduler. You've got to update those estimated dates in all areas where you put them. So you would put in your dates here and you would come down to the bottom and click continue. And once you click continue, it's actually going to take you to a screen that looks like this. So I just did some different clicks because I've already run the auto scheduler setup. But once you click continue, you will see your build scenario. This is where you can make your choice between build and load, where you enter in all the parameters you want, and PowerScheduler will use an algorithm to build a master schedule for you. Or you can choose a load only, where you're going to copy over a master schedule that you have already, and then you're going to load your students into it. Now, no matter which process you do, PowerSchool actually recommends that you leave your selection on build and load, just so you give yourself more options over here on the left-hand side and more options as you're going through the process. So either way, you'll make your selection. You'll edit your build name, so you can create a name for this scenario. You can enter in a description. And then your terms, periods, and days should populate from what you have already entered on that very first screen. Right now, your course catalog box is going to be blank, and that's okay. That's how we want it. And you would leave the rest of these items down here at the bottom at their default value and then submit. Once you hit submit, you're actually going to be taken back to your landing screen where now you will see your new build scenario that you have created, and it should say active. If at any point you need to make changes to your scenario, you do not want to run this auto scheduler setup again because it's going to overwrite everything. So you would want to just make changes to the scenario itself. So to do that, if you're on your landing page, you could click into your scenario name here. If you're somewhere else, you have the scenario menu option here. You could click into it and it's going to give you your scenarios. You could click into the name and it'll take you back to this screen to where you can make any changes. So that is running the auto scheduler setup. The next thing we need to do to be able to get started is set our schedule year. So in order to do that, we're going to scroll down and under tools, we're going to click on functions. And in my functions, one of my options is to set the schedule year. And then I would choose 23-24 from my drop down menu. Again, if you have not created a new year at the district and school level on the live site, you're not going to see this option here. And once you have made your selection, you click submit. And now not only do you have a 23-24 scenario, but you also should have an updated year here for 23-24 on the scheduling year side. So those are the first two steps of adding or running the auto scheduler setup and setting the schedule year.